Welcome back. Today we're making a wheat or white bread recipe. The first one you saw was the wheat bread. This one is the white bread. It's just a one ingredient swap to make either or. We're first going to start off by filling up a measuring cup with 1¼ cups of water. The water goes into the microwave for 1 minute and 5 seconds, and while that's warming up, I add in 3 tablespoons of white sugar to a mixing bowl, along with 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Next, we'll be putting in a teaspoon of salt, and after that, 2 teaspoons of instant active yeast. Your water should be warm, and that can be added into the rest of the ingredients. Now we're ready for 1 cup of bread flour. Now here's your deciding point for white or wheat bread. I'm making wheat bread, so at this point I'm adding in 1½ cups of wheat flour. If you want to make white bread, you'd add in 1½ cups of all-purpose flour. Now I'm going to start kneading this bread, and I'm trying to get it so it's not sticking to the side. And the amount of flour at this point that you add to it is going to depend actually from time to time when you make it. The weather actually plays quite a role into how wet, sticky the dough mixture is going to be. I try to gauge it as adding roughly about another ½ cup of flour after that initial 1½ cups. It could be a little bit more after that. Once it's not sticking to the sides of the bowl, I let it rest for 10 minutes, and while the dough is resting, I get a loaf pan ready. This is a quick loaf pan, and I spray it really good with cooking spray because you don't want your bread to be stuck after it's cooking. I chose a quick loaf pan because the size of the bread actually fits in my kids' sandwich bins for lunch. That's why I'm not using it so that it looks like a traditional piece of bread at the end. Once the dough is rested for 10 minutes, I pull it out of the bin that it was in and start forming it to fit inside of the loaf pan. After I have it roughly formed, I set it in there and kind of push it down to the sides of it so that it fills the pan up. Again, feel free to use the more traditional loaf pan here than this quick loaf pan. This is again just what we prefer in our household. Once I'm satisfied with how the dough is shaped in the pan, I cover it with a towel and place it on a warm spot, which is the top of my stove, for 35 minutes, covered with a towel, while the oven is preheating at 350 degrees. Once that's finished, I remove the towel, put it in that preheated 350-degree oven for 27 minutes. When the bread comes out of the oven, it should be beautifully golden brown on top. I don't let it sit in the pan for very long. I like to take a knife and run it along the edge just in case there's any spots that stick, and then I get it out right away so that it can start cooling. Once the bread is out of the pan and on the cooling rack, I know it's going to be tempting, but you're going to want to let it sit for quite a while until the bread is fully cooled down. Don't cut into it too early. Here's what the wheat bread looks like. It's much denser and doesn't rise as much. And then here's my white loaf that I cooked later on. It rises a lot more, it's a little bit fluffier, and just as delicious. So pick which one you prefer, white or wheat, and go after it with this recipe. Or make both. I really hope you enjoyed today's video and give this recipe a try.